Hello, scholars. This is Miss Edwards. Welcome to Lesson 5.2, SSS, which stands for side, 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 and SAS, which stands for side, angle, side. So we're continuing with triangle congruency. And you know that two triangles are congruent or equal if their corresponding sides are congruent and corresponding angles are congruent. That would be 6 things, right? 3 sides and 3 angles. But what we're going to look at for the rest of this unit is ways that we could only have 3 things and still prove that they're congruent to each other. So the side, side, side postulate states that if the 3 sides of one triangle are congruent to 3 corresponding sides of another triangle, then those triangles are congruent. So you don't even need to look at the angles. If you know that all 3 sides are congruent, you can say that the triangles are congruent. So let's look at example number 1. Determine if the 2 triangles are congruent. If they are, state how you know. So I have the 2 triangles here, and it looks like they are sharing one side right here. So we're going to go ahead and mark that because this side, right, is the same on both triangles. That's congruent onto itself. That's what we say in geometry. So we're going to mark it with that tick mark. So now we have each one has 1, each one has 2, each one has 3, showing that all 3 sides are congruent. So yes, it is congruent by side, side, side. Let's look at number 2. Determine if the 2 triangles are congruent. If they are, state how you know. So this time we have 2 tick marks. So that's one side, 3 tick marks, it's another side. And then a swoop, which means it's an angle. So we have an angle, a side, and a side. What does ASS spell? It spells a naughty word. So that one is one of the ones that we don't use. So this is not enough information. There's actually going to be 5 that we're going to look at. And so ASS is not one of them, or SSA is not in our list. So we cannot use that to prove congruency. So go ahead and pause the video, look at number 3 and number 4, try them on your own, and I will come back to share my answer. All right, so for number 3, you should see that this side right here, right, they're sharing this side that I'm going to mark right here. So go ahead and mark it. Since it's congruent onto itself, it's the same side, right? There's the 1 tick mark that they both share, the 2 tick mark, so that side is congruent, and the 3 tick marks, right? So if you can show that each triangle has the 1, the 2, and the 3 tick marks, showing that all 3 sides are congruent, then it's congruent by side, side, side. And now number 4, again, same thing. So I know we don't have much here. We've only got 1 postulate, so it's either going to be side, 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 or not enough information. And this one is, again, side, side, side. So pretty simple. Now we're going to look at side, angle, side congruency. So another way to show that 2 triangles are congruent is to use the side, angle, side. Again, 3 things. All of these are going to just have 3 things. And this says the side, angle, side postulate states if 2 sides and the included angle of one triangle are congruent to the 2 sides and the included angle of another triangle, then the triangles are congruent. Meaning we have to look at this included angle part. So the 2 sides and the included angle means the angle in between them, okay? So let's write a little note. The included angle means the angle in between the 2 sides. So if I have 2 sides and then the angle in between, and they're congruent on both triangles, then I can say both triangles are indeed congruent. So let's look at example number 5. So number 5 says, determine if the 2 triangles are congruent. If they are, state how you know. So I have 2 sides with the 2 tick marks. Okay, those are congruent. Then I have the sides with the 3 tick marks. Those are congruent. And then I have a swoop, right? 1 swoop shows that those are congruent. So look, I have a side, an angle, and a side, right? 2 sides and the angle in between on both of these, right? A side, an angle, and a side. The 2 sides with the angle in between. So I can say, yes, they are congruent by SAS, or side, angle, side. Now with number 6, and you don't have to draw those dots. I just wanted to show you what I was referring to. So now for number 6, we're looking at these 2 triangles, and we have to think back to actually unit 3, which is basically when we have two angles across from each other, they are called vertical angles. So we have to draw those in. Just like with the side, we sometimes have to mark that shared side as congruent. We have to mark that these vertical angles are congruent. Okay, so see how this, I put a swoop here and a swoop here because vertical angles are across from each other. We can also let's make it another little note that vertical angles, meaning across from each other, are congruent. Okay, so we have a side, right? A side, we have an angle in between, and this other side, right? Two sides with an angle in between. Same thing over here, side, angle, side. So these two triangles are congruent by SAS. So go ahead and pause the video. Go ahead and try number 7 and number 8. Oh, let's put this back. All right, so we've paused the video and tried number 7 and 8. So here we have another side that's congruent to itself, right? They're sharing this side right here. We already have used 1 tick mark, so let's use 2 on this one. So I have a side, an angle, and a side, angle, and a side. So yes, this is congruent by side, angle, side. That is an S, not an 8. All right. And then for number 8, so I have a side, angle, side on this one, but look carefully. This angle right here is not in between these two sides. So this would be not enough information. You need to check both triangles to make sure that they have that side, angle, side on both. All right, so now that we've looked at just, determining if it's side, side, or side, angle, side, now we're gonna dive a little bit deeper into what additional information we need in order to prove the congruency or to at least show the congruency. So for number 9, it says, state what additional information is required in order to know that the triangles are congruent for the reason given, which in this case is side, side. So I see a side that's, on top of itself, that's like kind of bordering, right? So we're gonna mark that as congruent to itself. So it says side, side. So we know this side is congruent to itself. We know that these two sides, right, AB and AE, are congruent to each other. So what else do we need to know in order for this to be congruent, these two triangles? We need to know that this side BC, just want to name that BC with a line over it, is congruent to side EC. And that's my answer. So it's just asking what additional information do we need in order to show side congruency. So let's look at number 10. So again, state what additional information is required in order to know that the triangles are congruent for the reason given. This one is side, angle, side. So I want to mark these vertical angles here. So this angle and this angle, see how they're across from each other? So they're congruent. Let's put 1 swoop to show that. So what else would I need to know for the side, angle, side to work out? So I have a side here. Let's look at this left one. I have PQ. I have this angle. So the other side would have to be this QR side, right? So QR would have to be congruent too. And now let's look at the other triangle. That would be, so QR, so let's go QM. And so do you see how if we have this side, right, PQ, then this angle, then QR, that would be side, angle, side. Just like if we had a QK and then this angle, then QM, right, that would be side, angle, side. So we need to make sure those are congruent in order for us to show that it's side, angle, side congruency. So go ahead and pause and try 11, 12, 13, and 14, and then I will come back with my answer in just a bit. All right, so hopefully you tried 11 through 14. All right, so it says side, side for number 11. So what has to be congruent to show this? Side, side. So I would need a third side, right? I would need this third side of EG to be congruent to XV. Or EG, let's do VX. The order doesn't really matter, but technically EG from the 2 to the 3, so VX. It's okay if you don't know what I'm talking about, but just have the letters correct. Like this one is side, side, side. You can't have an angle. That wouldn't help us, right? We want to show side, side, side. So we need that third side to be congruent to each other. This side and this side right here. All right, number 12. This one is side angle side. So we have the two sides. Now we need the angle in between the two sides to be congruent. So that would be this angle right here and this angle right here. So angle C would have to be congruent to angle F. All right, number 13. Again, we need side, side, side. This side that is kind of overlapping itself, we need to mark that. And now what is that third side that would have to be congruent? And that would be MN would have to be congruent to LS. No, SL. Remember, it's okay if you write LS. The order doesn't really matter because I know what you mean, but technically it should be MN is congruent to SL. And now number 14, we have a side angle side. So show that side that's congruent to itself. And so we have S side, we have an angle, and then we have another side that we have to show. So side angle, this side right here would have to be congruent to this side angle side right here. So UV has to be congruent to UR. All right, so I know there wasn't much explanation. This is a lot of visual understanding, conceptual understanding. So if you have any questions, please come seek me out or come seek Jesus, the tutor, out. You are going to work on, also just seek each other out. You know, you guys are supposed to be collaborating, helping each other. Please work together on doing this practice, on what type of congruency it is. It could be, it's either going to be side, 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 side angle side, or not enough information. It's going to be one of those three things. And then down here is the additional information. If you need any help, let me know. Otherwise, go ahead and work on your mastery check when you're done with the practice. And I will see you in the next lesson. Bye.